Hello and welcome to the channel. So over the past two episodes, we dived into two of the main tenses in English. In the very first episode, we talked about the present continuous or the present progressive. We explained it thoroughly. And then in the second episode, we handled the present simple, which is also one of the primary tenses in the English language. And as I told you in the last episode, this episode, which is episode 3, will be addressing the topic of comparing and contrasting the two tenses together. So after this episode, or at the end of this episode, you should be able to tell the two differences or tell the two tenses apart. You should be able also to use the two tenses correctly and effectively. So the present continuous, as we said before, is used to talk about something temporary. Something temporary, meaning that it's something that's not going to last forever. It's something that's going to last only for a limited time or for a limited or a short period of time. On the other hand, we find that the present simple is used to talk about permanent actions, things which are continuing indefinitely, things which we don't know if they are going to stop in the future or not, things which are true in general, and also to talk about habits and things that we do regularly, in addition to referring to facts like scientific facts. But present continuous is used to talk about something that's happening right now at the time of speaking or just around the time of speaking. So let's explain this using some examples to highlight the difference between the two tenses. I can say, for instance, the water is boiling. Can you turn it off? The water is boiling. Can you turn it off? So in this sentence, we're using the present continuous, as you can see. The water is boiling. That's because the action of boiling is happening right now, and we can understand this from the context of the sentence because we find the person saying, can you turn it off? So this means that it's boiling right now, and we need it to be turned off because it's already boiling. But in another example highlighting the present simple, we find the sentence, for example, saying that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So it's the same verb, which is boil, but in this context, in the second sentence, it's used in the present simple. It says water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. We didn't say that water is boiling at 100 degrees Celsius because this sentence refers to a fact, to a scientific fact, something that's never going to change. That's the boiling point or the boiling temperature for water. So we can't say in this example water is boiling at 100 degrees Celsius, and we can't say in the previous example the water boils, can you turn it off? Another example. Listen to those people. What language are they speaking? Listen to those people. What language are they speaking? You see, we're using the present continuous in this example. Are they speaking? But in another example highlighting the present simple, we might say, excuse me, do you speak English? Excuse me, do you speak English? So in these two examples, we have the same verb, which is speak. But in the first example, we conjugated the verb in the present continuous because the person is asking about something that's happening right now. The person is saying, what language are they speaking right now as I can hear them? But in the second example, the person is asking another person what language, or if they speak the English language or not. So if they do, that's something that's permanent. That's something that's going on with them forever. And if they don't, okay, that's something that's going to continue with them indefinitely. They might learn some English in the future, but for the time being, if they don't speak English, then they don't speak English, right? And that's why we said, do you speak English? Right. One last example to highlight the difference. We can say, let's go out. It isn't raining now. Let's go out. It isn't raining now. So the sentence speaks about now. It is not raining right now, so we can go out. Otherwise, we would have been soaked. But in another example highlighting the present simple, we might say, it doesn't rain here very much in summer. It doesn't rain here very much in summer. That's a fact, or that's something that's true in general. So we use the present simple and we said it doesn't rain. But in the previous example, or in the example preceding to that, we said, let's go out, it isn't raining. Isn't raining, that's present continuous, because we're talking about it, or about the weather not being rainy at the moment. Another difference that's worth considering between the two tenses is the usage of the word always. Well, always normally is used with the present simple. However, we can use always with the present continuous to talk about annoying habits, to talk about things that we do very often, maybe too often or more often than normal. For example, let's highlight the first example, which utilizes the present simple. So we might say, I always go to work by car. I always go to work by car. I always go. So this is a habit. This is something that happens all of the time. So we use the present simple and we say, I always go. But look at the other example highlighting the usage of the word always with the present continuous. We might say, I'm always losing my keys. I'm always losing. Look at using always with the present continuous here. I am always losing. So in this example, apparently the speaker is annoyed. The speaker is upset at the fact that he or she always are losing, or they are always losing their keys, and that's why they are using the present continuous. So they might say, for example, oh, I've lost my keys again. I've lost my keys again. I'm always losing things. Look, so they are annoyed because they are using the present continuous because they are annoyed or they are upset at this. Another example highlighting the usage of always with the present continuous, we can say, Tim is never satisfied. Tim is never satisfied. He's always complaining. Is always complaining. Apparently he complains too much to the extent that it's annoying the speaker. Another example, you're always watching television. You should do something more active. You're always watching television. And then in the rest of the sentence, it says, you should do something more active. So the speaker isn't happy with this person always watching television, and they are advising them to do something more active. Excuse me. The third point, which is crucial to highlight when we are comparing and contrasting the two tenses, the present continuous and the present simple, is a group of verbs that we call state verbs or stative verbs. So these verbs are not normally used in any continuous tense. As a matter of fact, any continuous tense in English necessitates that we add ing to the verb. However, state verbs or stative verbs cannot be used in any continuous tense because they do not accept adding the suffix ing to them. Apologies. So, whenever we have one of these verbs in our sentence, and even if the meaning or the context of the sentence refers to something that's happening right now at the time of speaking, something temporary, or something that's happening around now and not necessarily at the time of speaking or right now, normally we should use the present continuous or the present progressive. However, if the verb in the sentence is one of these state verbs or stative verbs, we should refrain from using the present continuous and we stick to conjugating the verb in the present simple. So here is a list. It's not an exhaustive list or it's not a comprehensive list of the state verbs or the stative verbs. However, we can always refer to the web or to any of the AI chatbots in order to get the full list or the comprehensive list of the stative verbs. So the most important ones are like, love, hate, want, need, prefer. So these are 6. Belong, fit, contain, consist, and seem. So these are 5 in addition to the previous 6. So those are 11. We also have some more like know, realize, suppose, mean, understand, believe, and remember. So all of these verbs and others, of course, are state verbs or stative verbs, meaning that they cannot be conjugated in any continuous tense. You cannot add ing to them. For example, we can say, I'm hungry. I want something to eat. I want something to eat. So the speaker wants to eat right now. They want something to eat right now. So normally it should be, I am wanting something to eat. But because want is one of those stative verbs, we cannot add ing to it. So we say, I want something to eat. Another example is, okay, I understand what you mean. Okay, I understand what you mean. Well, apparently the person understands what the other person is saying right now. They are talking to them, right? It might be over the phone, it might be face to face. That's not our issue now. But this person understands what the other person is saying to them, all right? So normally it should be, I am understanding what you mean. But understand is one of those state verbs or stative verbs, and that's why we cannot add ing to it. So we use the present simple instead, and we say, I understand what you mean. However, some verbs can be used as stative verbs or as dynamic verbs. Dynamic verbs, also called action verbs, are the verbs which accept the ing suffix. We can add ing to them. For example, the verb be, verb to be. Normally, verb to be is a stative verb. You cannot add ing to it. So you say, for example, he is selfish. Selfish means self-centered. They only think about their own interests, even if that's at the expense of others' interests. Anyway, so when you say he is selfish, verb to be is one of those state verbs that doesn't accept normally ing. And when you use it in that context, it means that this person is normally selfish, is typically selfish. Most of the time or all of the time they are selfish. But when you say this person is being selfish, he or she is being selfish, this means that they are acting or they are behaving in a way that's normal, in a way that's different to their normal selves. For example, you can say, I can't understand why he's being too selfish. He isn't usually like that. Look at this. I can't understand why he is being so selfish. So in this example here, we're using the verb to be with adding ing to it in the present continuous, because what we mean here is that this person isn't typically selfish, isn't normally selfish. However, they're acting or behaving in this particular situation selfishly. So, using verb to be in the present continuous means that the person is acting or behaving in a way that's not typical or normal of them. Also, another verb is think. Think can be considered as an action or a dynamic verb which accepts ing. That's when it means consider. So you say, for example, I'm thinking about what happened. I often think about it. Or Nikki is thinking of giving up her job. Nikki is thinking of giving up her job, which means that she's considering the option of quitting. She's thinking about the option of quitting her job or leaving her job, right? So because think here means consider, it is usable in the present continuous. So you can say Nikki is thinking. But when you use the verb think with the meaning of believe or have a certain opinion, it is deemed or considered in this case as a state verb or a stative verb, meaning that it cannot be used in the continuous or the progressive tenses. So you say, for example, I think Mary is Canadian, but I'm not sure. You cannot say, I'm thinking Mary is Canadian, because think here doesn't mean consider. It means I believe, I have this opinion, I suppose that she's Canadian. So in this sense, think is considered as a stative verb and it cannot be used in the continuous tenses, and it doesn't accept having ing with it. Also, the sense verbs, the verbs which refer to senses like see, hear, smell, and taste, These verbs are considered to be state verbs or stative verbs, which means that they shouldn't be used in any progressive tense. They do not take the suffix ing. We must use them in a simple tense, like the present simple, for instance. So you say, this room smells. Let's open a window. This room smells. Let's open a window. From the context of the sentence, it's obvious that this is an action that's happening right now. The smell of the room is bad. But because smell is one of those state verbs, sense verbs, we cannot add ing to it. So we say the room or this room smells rather than saying this room is smelling. If you want to infer or if you want to express the idea of seeing or smelling or tasting or hearing something right now, you can use the modal verb can with any of these verbs. So you can say, for example, I can hear a strange noise, which means that I can hear it right now. So you say, I can hear a strange voice. Can you hear it now? So it's either using the present simple with these sense verbs or using them with the modal verb can. Lastly, but not least, there are two verbs which can be considered as stative, or as action or dynamic. So they accept taking ing, conjugating them in the continuous tenses, or they can be used in simple tenses. They accept both options or both choices. These two verbs are look and feel. So you can say, for example, you look well today, or you can say, you're looking well today. You can use the verb look with the meaning of appear or seem in both tenses, the present simple or the present continuous. You can also ask someone by saying, how do you feel now? Present simple. Or how are you feeling now? Present continuous. So the two verbs look and feel can be used in both tenses, being continuous or progressive on one hand, or being simple on the other hand. So to wrap up what we have said in this lesson, the present simple and the present continuous are two of the most important tenses in English, but they are easily confused. Stick to the fact that the present continuous is for temporary things that are happening right now or around now. The present simple, on the other hand, is for permanent things which continue indefinitely, things which hold true in general, things which happen as a habit, happen regularly, or to refer to scientific facts. And make sure that you refrain from using continuous tenses with any of the stative verbs that we have mentioned, and which we have said that the list we have provided in this video was only a simple, not comprehensive or not complete list of them, and for a full or a whole list, refer to any of the AI chatbots or refer to the web. I hope this lesson was useful for you, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson. Have a great day and goodbye.